Welcome everyone to Bound for Botany Bay, a mini-series on the trials and tribulations of Britain's first colonisation of Australia. In this 4-part series, we'll be taking a deep look into the lives of 4 individuals and their nuanced experiences of the penal colony.
Welcome history enthusiasts to the first captivating episode of Bound for Botany Bay. Throughout the upcoming 4 episodes, we aim to further our listeners' understanding into the details of the lives of the key figures in the first fleet to Australia and how these all amounted to the foundation of the first colony at Port Jackson. We will do this by focusing on a new historical figure each episode, working our way down the social hierarchy of the colony from governor to convict. Today we embark on a voyage through time, exploring the remarkable life of Arthur Phillip, the first governor of New South Wales, and the extraordinary journey of the first fleet to Australia. Joining us are our esteemed guests, Jack Scott, a renowned historical expert, and of course, Arthur Phillip himself. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to be here. Captain Phillip was the commander of the first fleet to Australia and the governor of the first colony at Port Jackson for almost 4 years. He is widely recognised as a pivotal figure in the founding of Australia as a nation. His leadership and tenacity provided the foundation for a political and social system in Australia for the first time.
Arthur, let's start with your childhood. Can you begin by providing us with some information on Philip's upbringing prior to him leading the first fleet to Australia?
So, surprisingly, Philip did not have a particularly wealthy upbringing. He was born in 1738. We're still not completely sure what his father did for work, but nonetheless, his father died within a year of Philip being born, so his family income was insubstantial for the large majority of his upbringing. However, Philip was able to attend Greenwich Hospital School, which I'm sure he can recall for us.
Yes, I was enrolled at Greenwich Hospital School when I was 12 years old. It was a humble practice of education which predominantly taught us literacy, numeracy and navigation. I was an average school child and tended to keep myself out of trouble, unlike a couple of my classmates who, funnily enough, would actually go on to be transported under my command to Australia as felons. I studied at Greenwich for 2.5 years before joining the crew of Fortune as a whaling apprentice. However, much of my naval experience that enabled me to command the First Fleet came from my time in the Royal Navy during the 7 Years' War against France, during which I experienced canonry warfare protecting the island of Minorca, as well as the disease-ridden wet season, both which provided me with important exposure to the dangers of maritime travel and how to survive.
Following that, how did Philip come about being appointed as the commander of the First Fleet?
The combination of Philip's naval experience and contacts, which he gained through his avidness to detail, humanism and dry humour, made him the obvious candidate to command the First Fleet, but also govern the newly found settlement once they arrived in Australia.
Yes, I had travelled the initial route that would be undertaken to Australia during my time with the Portuguese Navy during their war against Spain, when I commanded a 26-gun frigate to Rio de Janeiro. I also had come to know many of the men involved in organising the voyage to Australia through my meetings regarding Spain's involvement in the war with America, such as Lord Sandwich, who himself would accompany James Cook in the discovery of Australia.
Your personal experiences aboard the First Fleet must have been quite remarkable. Can you share some insights into what life was like during the historic voyage?
Certainly. The journey was arduous, filled with challenges and uncertainties. We faced cramped living conditions, harsh weather and outbreaks of disease. As a leader, it was my responsibility to maintain morale and ensure the safety of all aboard. It was a test of resilience and determination for everyone involved.
Arthur, your leadership during trying times is commendable. Could you shed some light on the general conditions of the first settlement in Australia?
Of course. Upon our arrival in Botany Bay, we were met with a landscape vastly different from what we had anticipated. The land was rugged, resources were scarce, and the indigenous people whom we encountered presented both challenges and opportunities. We had to adapt quickly, establishing makeshift shelters and rationing supplies to sustain our fledgling colony.
From a historical perspective, how significant was Arthur Phillip's interaction with the indigenous people of Australia?
Arthur's approach to indigenous relations was groundbreaking for its time. He sought to establish peaceful coexistence and mutual respect, recognising the indigenous people's rights to their land. His efforts laid the foundation for future interactions between settlers and indigenous Australians, albeit with many challenges and conflicts along the way.
Arthur, could you elaborate on your interactions with the indigenous peoples and the political evolution of the colony?
Certainly. Our interactions with the indigenous people were characterised by a mix of curiosity, misunderstanding and occasional conflict. We endeavoured to establish diplomatic relations, trading goods and attempting to learn from their rich cultural heritage. However, tensions arose when we asserted British authority over the land, leading to clashes and resistance from some indigenous groups.
Indeed, Arthur's leadership during this period played a pivotal role in shaping the political landscape of the colony. His efforts to establish a framework for governance and justice laid the groundwork for the development of democratic institutions in Australia.
Fascinating insights, both of you. As we reflect on Arthur Phillips' legacy and the enduring impact of the First Fleet's voyage, what lessons can we draw from this chapter of history?
I believe the key lesson is one of resilience and adaptation. The challenges we faced on the First Fleet and in the early days of settlement taught us the importance of perseverance, cooperation and cultural understanding. It's a reminder of the human spirit's capacity to overcome adversity and build a better future.
Absolutely. The story of Arthur Phillip and the First Fleet serves as a testament to the complexities of history and the ongoing journey towards reconciliation and understanding. It's a reminder that the past continues to shape our present and our future, and we must strive to learn from it.
Wise words indeed. Thank you both for joining us today and shedding light on this pivotal moment in history.
Thank you for having us.
It was a pleasure.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to Bound for Botany Bay. Join us next time as we continue to explore the fascinating tapestry of human history. Until then, stay curious and keep exploring. Goodbye for now.